Hey, it's Sebastian for the Metal Gods Meltdown, and I'm joined by...
Yeah, it's me, Brian from Reverence.
Gods of War has to be one of the best power metal albums of the year. What are your feelings about the album?
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say. We never know what, it's going to be, how it's going to be accepted from other people, but we thought we had a pretty good album. I kind of felt like we had surpassed maybe the first one that we'd done. It's called When Darkness Calls. It's just so hard to tell when you're so close to it, but I thought we had a pretty good album. It was still a little different than the first one, but we just had to sit back and kind of wait for everybody to kind of chime in and give us their 2 cents. And so far, for the most part, people have really, really liked it a lot. So we just hope it keeps going that way.
Do you have any tracks that you're most proud of, the Gods of War?
Yeah, actually, Blood of Heroes is probably my favorite song, and it has even a bit of Winston Churchill in the middle of it, which means a lot to me. It's obviously focused on the sacrifice by our soldiers that fight for freedom, and so they're so often forgotten in nowadays times. I kind of meant it to be a throwback to even kind of tie in with the cover being more World War II-ish, because I'm kind of a fan of that era. But it's to be taken at any time, whether it be from back then, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, whatever. Nowadays, these guys, they give us, everything to go and fight for freedom someplace else. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, but depends on how your point of view is. But the sacrifice is nonetheless any less great. So it's just a thanks to those guys. And so it means a lot to me, that particular song.
Every little thing, the traffic was held today, and now you have to work late. Thoughts of the world outside never enter your mind, while others selflessly pay the price. The precious blood of heroes. Conveniently oblivious to the sacrifices made. The biggest challenge you'll find is paying your bills on time. The skirmish abroad is just a blip on TV, getting in the way of your reality. Precious
Who writes all of the lyrics, and is it always an easy process getting everything to gel?
It's a fairly easy process. With this album, Pete and we wrote everything together. Typically, we'll write the entire song out and leave it in such a way that we can go back and edit and change and I guess arrange different sections and take stuff out and put stuff in. But once we get a song all done and we've got it kind of in a demo form that's completed, we'll send it over to Todd, and Todd writes all the lyrics and comes up with all the kind of a storytelling aspect to it. I usually will give him some kind of a working title that maybe I kind of hear something in a chorus, like, hey, I kind of hear this, and Blood of Heroes was like that, Gods of War was like that, Angel in Black was from a dream I had, Battle Cry was like that. So he probably keeps at least 50% of my prospective song titles that I give him, and he actually turns them into songs and uses those as a starting point for his lyrics. But it's pretty seamless. Once he gives us his stuff, then he'll send it back, and we'll kind of re-listen to it. And, maybe we'll try this, or he maybe even give us a few different alternate, kind of melodies to choruses or verses or something. And so we try to pick amongst us the best way the song should go.
And also, your videos are always really stunning. Who puts the ideas into those?
Well, we've got 3 more videos coming out for this album. We've just put out that Until My Dying Breath, which was pretty basic. We actually were having encountering some lighting problems and stuff, which it ended up turning kind of black and white and kind of grainy and stuff, which kind of worked to its favor. But the previous album, actually, the first song we put out was called Too Late, and that actually had quite a bit of thought process put into the kind of a storyline behind it, because we had a couple of actors in it. And so there was a lot more process of that particular video. Another one was called Bleed For Me, which is more of a performance. So we just rented out a little club and just filmed it.
Is about to speak. You say you wanna be my slave, but you are so naive. 'Cause I will force you to behave. You'll be mine ever after. Tell me, are you sure? Will you fall? Will you fight? Tell me I am always right.
then After the Leaves Have Fallen was the third video we did for that first record, and that was actually filmed in a big warehouse with a big lighting show behind us. So there was actually a lot more thought put into those. There's another song coming up that we're going to do another video for that's got quite a bit of thought process, more than the first one we just put out. It's fun to do. It's fun to kind of get creative and stuff, so we try to have fun with it.
Back to the Gods of War, the album, when you first look at it, you think, is this going to be a concept album? And it's not. Are there plans in the future to do sort of a concept album?
It was never meant to be that way. I mean, there's a few songs that actually kind of maybe would make you think that, even by looking at the song titles alone, because you've got Battle Cry and the Bloody Heroes and things like that you might think it might be that way, but it was never meant to be that way. Gods of War, the song, and Bloody Heroes, and those songs were actually written the same kind of time frame, so maybe that's what kind of ties them together a little bit. But the song and the title of the album, it was just chosen because it seemed like the most fitting song to be chosen as a song title, really, because I mean, not that Bloody Heroes wouldn't have been a cool one or whatever, but it just seemed like Gods of War had maybe more of an ability to have a cover concept and be able to amplify it a little bit and expand it upon. So, and it was a good song. So we weren't thinking it's okay. Well, that's maybe maybe not one of the greatest songs on the record. Let's use that one. You usually want to use your top song for an album title. It worked out well
because it is quite visually stunning album cover. Did you all have an input into the artwork?
Yeah, actually, it started quite differently, and we weren't real happy with it. So we kind of changed directions. Where originally we have our guy way in the back, which there's actually a concept it ties into the lyrics of the song, where if you just look at the cover, you're going to think that, oh wow, there's just a battle scene and they're trying to battle this big, dead guy, which we call him like the dead god. On the first album, it was the dead pope. He's always the dead guy. Doesn't really have a name at this point, but he's not like Eddie. He's like Eddie, but he doesn't have a name. But in reality, what's the concept of the song is that the song is that it's the gods of war, the government's pitting men against men and country against country because of profit. They profiteer from war and things of that nature. And so it's actually, the cover concept is, if you look to the one side, the left side, those guys are shooting the guys on the right side and vice versa. They're not shooting the guy in the background. He's controlling it. He's the god of war. So there's actually a thought process behind that, and we actually started out with more of a guy that looked more like a military general, and we kind of wanted him to do a little similar thing to the Metallica thing with the puppet master strings, but it just didn't seem to flow very well. So it kind of morphed into this kind of concept that was a little more expansive, shown of destruction and the tanks and the flames and the guys fighting and so on. So Joe Baird from Sledgehammer Graphics did the album. He did the first album. I worked with him when I was in Tokyo Blade. He does work for Sabaton and Primal Fear. He's an excellent artist, just amazing talent, super guy.
You better watch your back. Oh.
What are the plans for the rest of the year for Reverence, and what does 2016 have in store for the band and for yourself?
Well, actually, we've got songs. We wrote 23 songs for the record, and we only recorded 15 of them. And I've obviously picked from there to put on the album. So we have leftover songs that may make it to another album. I've actually started writing for another album. We originally were going to put out a live album that's already recorded from our first album's tour. And the label didn't want to put that out quite yet. So that's coming out next year. It's already finished. The only thing that's not finished is the artwork. And, of course, we'd like to get in some tour dates and head over your direction and make a run through Europe and such. So I would imagine that would start soon after the holidays. So, we'll get through the promotion of the album and pushing it, and then try to get some dates booked and keep working towards new music too.
If there was one thing you could change in your career, though, what would it be?
I try to be a little more patient and try to soak in some of the good times. It gets really stressful sometimes, and it's easy to have knee-jerk reactions. I wish even now I'd kind of slow down and not let things bother me as much as I do, because it affects me. I mean, it could even affect anybody's health. Stress does that. So, I mean, I get a little stressed out about stuff. I wish I would stop doing those kinds of things. I mean, even with Tokyo Blade, the things would kind of stress me out, and I'm sure it led to stress for others too. It's probably a personal flaw I need to work.
Did Reverence get over to Japan for the last album?
No, we haven't. In fact, we didn't have any distribution of that first record in Japan, and Todd, having now been with Riot for a couple of years, he's got connections over there, and so we when we got into the demo process for Gods of War, we sent them 4 finished songs, and to Marquee Avalon, and they snatched us up with give us a 3-album deal. So that was really cool. Based on 4 songs, that was felt really good. So hopefully, with the release of this record, it'll do well enough that we can actually head over there and see some of our new friends over in Japan.
Back to the album cover. Have you got that framed on your wall?
What I do have on my wall is I had my good friend Doc Killdrums, who's from Sabotage. He obviously is on the record. He's in the Reverence band for the last 2 albums, and I took the skin that you see on the front of the kick drums, and it's hanging on my wall. He signed it for me. I'm still a big fan of Doc, even though he's in my band.
That's awesome. Okay, can you tell me why we should buy Gods of War?
Well, I think it's a great record. I think we've done really well on making some really powerful and good songs that are really catchy and powerful choruses, great riffs, great solos. I don't know that we're really inventing the wheel at all. I think a lot of the power metal and stuff has probably been rehashed a bazillion times, but we try to do our own spin on it and try to bring in our influences from Dio and Judas Priest and all our big fan favorites from when we were young and incorporate that into our own sound. So, if you dig those kinds of bands, and I think you'd dig Reverence and big sing-along kind of songs and kind of harken back to the glory days of 80s metal.
Next one. Can you give me 3 words to describe Reverence?
3 words, wow. Well, respect, obviously Reverence in itself. The name was chosen because we revered our metal heroes, and we wanted to respect that. So respect is a big one. I guess we're pretty humble. I mean, we've come from a lot of different bands, other band names that are known, but all the guys in the group are really humble. Our work ethic is really strong too. I think we work really hard to try not just to put out music, period. Hey, we're just putting out a new album. We want it to be the best album we can. And I know there's other bands that just kick out a lot of albums a lot faster than we do. And it doesn't always. Maybe they're great, maybe they're not. That's for the fans to judge. But I think it takes a lot of work ethic to make sure your songs are the greatest, and not everything that you write is the greatest from the get-go. You gotta sift through it and put out the best thing forward.
Absolutely. Is there anything you'd like to say to our listeners and your fans?
Sure. In closing, I really look forward to coming back over to the UK. I'd love to get through up into Scotland, absolutely. I'm of Scotch, Irish, and English descent, so that's kind of home country to me in some ways. So, I mean, I'm really looking forward to trying to book some dates over there and over into Europe, and we'd love to get to Japan. So it's kind of going to be a busy year, hopefully, for new music putting out into next year with a live album. And I'm really shooting for trying to do another studio album by the end of the year. And then, of course, trying to get over and do some tour dates. So we are really looking forward to seeing everybody that digs the band. Ask for your support and purchasing and allowing us, and thank you for allowing us to do it. And we just look forward to 2016. This is Brian Holland from Reverence, and you listen to the Metal Gods Meltdown. Turn it up. Keep it loud.
For those who heed the call.